Hello, welcome again to FAIRtax Power Radio. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
And we are the FAIRtax Guys. And those of you listening on the radio stations or the podcast, what you are hearing as we do that is our scrolling banner. You can go check out a video and see what that is.
No. Tell them it's the doors on Star Trek that are opening and closing.
Oh, Kirk Enterprise. Okay, whatever.
All right.
We'll do that. But that's a neat little gadget. You go look at the video, see what it is, and you can get one from the new FAIRtax store.
Yep. And I forgot to start my timer again.
Well,
so
I didn't. Mine's running. We're good.
I'll be off a little bit here.
But I'll tell you what we did forget last episode. We didn't mention our If the IRS Made contest.
Yes, we did.
We've still got that going on through the end of September, and we have another entry. This is from Ted Davis again. This is the same guy that sent us the tree swing.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a car. And you really have to see, the picture is really small. I'm not sure how well you can set this picture up there. But if you look, it's as if you had a car and you took the bottom half of it and turned it 90 degrees. The windshield and the hood are facing one way, and the wheels are facing the other way, and the rear bumper is across the right side doors. And it's just, yeah, if the IRS made a car, that's what it would look like.
It would, yeah. And it would function pretty much the same as our income tax. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows in what direction it's going.
So again, our contest, if the IRS made, fill in the blank with any kind of product you want. We've got a handgun with the barrel pointing the back way. We've got a tree swing with the ropes attached to either side of the tree trunk. And then we've got this cattywampus car. Those are the three entries we've got so far.
Yeah.
But if you want to come up with something, if the IRS made any kind of product, and if you can draw it, fine. If you can find a picture that's not subject to copyright, you can use that. Make a meme out of whatever and send it to us at the FAIRtaxGuys@gmail.com. When they were reworking the logo store, they had to move out a lot of inventory, so we have got a good bit of hats and some shirts and some all kinds of stuff.
We're going to award some
nice
stuff.
We are going to award some FAIRtax gear to the winners of our If the IRS Made contest. So again, come up with something, find a picture of it, again, make sure it's not subject to copyright, and send it to us at the FAIRtaxGuys@gmail.com, and we're going to award at least 3 places.
Yeah.
Which is everybody that's entered so far. We've got 3. We need more, folks. We really would like to share with the world if the IRS made. I would hate to think what it would look like if the IRS made a helicopter or something like that.
I know there's more people that watch this show, but so I'm surprised we've only had 3 entries, because that means that the other people are too timid to send something in. Use your imagination.
Either that or they're like me. They are just their artistic talent is 0.
Yeah, well, that would be me.
And I have a hard time drawing a straight line.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. So
anyway, that's if the IRS made. You'll want to check that out and send that to us at the FAIRtax Guys at gmail.com, and you may end up with a good little bit of FAIRtax gear.
Yep, that you can then use to get other people on board with the FAIRtax.
Yes, which is what the Grassroots Corner is all about.
Yeah,
I'm setting you up here. Go.
Grassroots Corner, put out weekly. It's a weekly email from the Americans for Fair Taxation. You can get the Grassroots Corner and Steve Hayes, the chairman's report, and an update from FAIRtax Power Radio by going to fairtax.org and signing up with them. Give them your name and contact information, and you will not get spam when you sign up with fairtax.org, because they never share or sell your information. Okay, this one is about Fairtaxer Rudy Tremmel, who is a board member here in Florida.
We know him.
Yep, we certainly do. Bring home the pharmaceutical industry. And Jim starts off, do you worry about your vital pharmaceuticals that are coming from a country that does not have your best interest in mind? How does the FAIRtax fix that problem? Well, Rudy addressed that in a letter to the editor that was published April 16th of this year, 2020.
That was a while back. We're just getting around to it.
Yep. And the first paragraph, obviously I'm not going through the whole thing. What could the federal income tax have to do with COVID-19? Simple. Our income tax system continues to push critical manufacturing facilities offshore. We've talked about that time and time again. It chases businesses away, and we found that out during this pandemic here, the crisis. Mm-hmm. Therefore, when a crisis hits, we lack the production capability to quickly produce what we need to deal with it. And he goes on to talk about that and how the FAIRtax would alleviate a lot of that, because it would get the burden of the income tax off of the backs of businesses, allow them to expand in this country. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you chase a company off to China because they've got a better tax situation here, that's a bad situation. What does that say for our tax system? You know,
not much.
Not
I'll
a
tell
good
you what,
situation.
that is one of Tucker Carlson's hot points, bringing American manufacturing that has been outsourced back home.
Yeah.
And again, just the national security implications. When you're dependent upon countries that will be don't like you much, and you're dependent on them for things as critical as pharmaceuticals that you need to keep your health going, you're just asking for trouble driving. I would call that treason to be driving that kind of manufacturing away from this country, because that is definitely detrimental to national security, to have to depend on countries that don't like us.
Yeah,
and in some case, that's worse than don't like. But I'm going to be nice.
That's a nice way of putting it.
We got a new comment on one of our. In fact, this was the hurricane episode. This one of our friends commented on this. We want to share this. This is really good.
Yep, this is from Keith Lean here. When you guys said that, why do people put up with that, referring to our tax system, you nailed it for me. That says it all for me and the way I feel about the ridiculous IRS regulations. They have been an anchor around our necks for far too long. Can you imagine the first day that men and women get their full paycheck without any deductions?
Well, I'd have a party for that.
Well, there will be lots of parties going on. I want to go to those parties, yeah, and that.
All right on, Keith.
Yep, that is right on, and we really appreciate the comments. We get great comments and sometimes some really good suggestions for a show. So please, send us your comments. TheFairtaxGuys@gmail.com. TheFairtaxGuys@gmail.com.
Or you can comment on the YouTube videos, or you can talk to us on our Facebook page. There are lots of ways you can get a hold of us.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, if you've got an entry for the IRS Made contest, send that to the email address, TheFairtaxGuys@gmail.com.
There you go. Yep. So
okay. Well, that actually, talking about this grassroots effort, what can people use? I mean, I want to convince my neighbors to support the FAIRtax. Now, I kind of halfway know how it works, but my neighbor needs a little reference.
Yeah.
What can we do to help that out?
Well, let's see. We have a number of things that you can get in the FAIRtax store, FAIRtaxStore.org, and one of them is this Palm Card, okay? And Bob and I were, mulling over what are we going to do for our episodes. We get together every other week and we record 2 episodes, okay? This was laying on my desk and I thought, oh, wait a minute. We have mentioned this, that we have a Palm Card dozens of times.
Yeah.
But when you start reading the information that's on here, this is really good stuff. And of course, this was put together by FAIRtax volunteers, board members, volunteers, and so forth over a period of years. So, and they've gone over it and over it, and yes.
And we're going over it again. It's in the process, or at least you're debating the process of redesigning it one more time.
Yeah.
But this is the current version that we've got for the FAIRtax Palm Card.
Yeah, and this is what's in the store right now. So
this is what you when you get a piece of junk email that has one of those business return envelopes, postage-free business return envelopes, it's really good to put one of these in it and send it back to them on their own dime.
Yeah, works. Absolutely. What a great idea. My wife takes such great pleasure in doing that.
I know she's over there grinning like a Cheshire cat when she thinks about, hi, if you're going to send me spam, I'm going to send you mine. But let's really go through this thing. Someone can actually, who's fairly new to the FAIRtax, can learn from it, and this is the information that you can propagate to your friends and your family and people that you are trying to convince to support the FAIRtax, that it's a good idea. And right at the top, I love this, in bright red letters, it says the FAIRtax eliminates the Internal Revenue Service. The FAIRtax, as we mentioned on our last show, will be collected by the states, remitted to a small office in the Treasury Department at the federal level, but the FAIRtax gets rid of the IRS. I don't know anybody who would like to argue in favor of keeping the IRS when you have the chance to get rid of it.
Yeah, in fact, in the near future, we're going to talk on a future episode of FAIRtax Power Radio, we're going to talk about a retired IRS agent who is now a FAIRtax fan.
Yeah, this is an upcoming Grassroots Corner. We get to preview these things before they're published.
Yeah.
But anyway, while he was in the IRS, he decided that the FAIRtax was a better way to go.
Yeah, and
I say, well, let's not give away too much of it, but we'll get into that on a future episode here.
Yeah, but eliminating the IRS is something that a lot of people, I think almost everybody. I mean, the IRS is a universally hated organization, and you know, maybe the individual employees of the IRS don't deserve that, but the leadership has been less than honorable recently in the past 10 years.
And sometimes the leadership is prone to the political whims of whoever is in power.
Yeah.
The IRS has been weaponized as a political weapon, used against somebody's enemies list. Gee, if you support the other party, you're going to get audited.
And with a FAIRtax, you don't need it.
Since
there's no individual or corporate income tax, there's no tax returns, so there's no IS to go over the tax returns. The FAIRtax is a sales tax collected at the point of sale. The vendors collect it. They send it off to their state agencies. The state agencies send it to the U.S. Treasury. It's done. It's all done by computers.
Yeah, it is. But the IRS, if I'm not mistaken, will have 3 years to wrap up whatever current investigations and ever current business is working on.
Right.
On the day that the FAIRtax is implemented, then the IRS can no longer collect taxes from that point forward because they'll be doing it with the FAIRtax. They'll have 3 years to wrap up what other investigations or other business they're working on, and then they're out of business.
Yeah.
They are flat gone.
Yeah, because there's no need for them anymore. So we'll save about, I don't know, what's the IRS
like
annual?
$12 billion a year it costs to
and it won't cost anywhere near that to collect the FAIRtax. Nothing like that. Okay.
All right. Well, what does the FAIRtax replace?
Oh, it replaces the income tax. Well, there's lots of different income taxes, aren't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Personal income tax,
business income tax, payroll tax, which is the most regressive tax we have, which means it hurts the poor more than anybody else. All right, the estate tax, the capital gains tax. Okay,
it's all gone.
Yeah,
and you have to realize, people. Oh, wait a minute! You can't end taxes on businesses. These multi-billion-dollar corporations have to pay their fair share.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And none of that is true because, as we've explained time and time again, taxes are a cost of doing business. They are rolled into the cost of the product. Who ends up paying for it? We do.
The consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
The retail consumer of whatever goods or services are produced by whatever kind of businesses are out there. They're the ones that end up paying the tax liability, and they're the ones that end up paying the lawyers and the accountants and everybody else that these businesses have to hire in order to comply with the income tax code. You, the retail customer, ultimately pays all of that. People understand when you buy a product, you are paying for the labor and materials that go into it.
Yep.
They don't really understand you're also paying that corporation's taxes.
Yeah.
So if you get rid of business taxes, the tax liability goes away, the compliance costs go away, the cost of producing goods goes way down. And then when the FAIRtax is added back in at the retail level, it's going to be about a wash. People say the prices of everything's going to go up by 23%. That's not true at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
and somebody might say, well, what if the company, the tax is a burden on the company, all right? Mm-hmm. And what if they're in a very tight market where they can't raise the cost of their products? Well, then they have to cut costs somehow. So how do they do it? They cut labor costs, and that costs people their jobs. So they pay. So people pay for it in a different way, in a much more difficult way. So either way, businesses do not pay taxes. They pass that cost on to individuals, people, us. Every time, there's no exceptions.
Yeah, another thing noted on the Palm Card here, it lowers tax rates. People hear 23% sales tax and they recoil in horror at the thought of a 23% sales tax. Well, they have no problem with a 23% income tax, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, let's say you're in the 25% tax bracket, okay? That's 25% of not your take home, but your gross. So really, when you compare what you're sending to Uncle Sam to what you're taking home, you're really in a 33% tax bracket. All right, and somehow people don't put that together, but 33% inclusive.
Yeah. But one of the things the FAIRtax does, it expands the tax base. How many people do you know, I don't know if you know very many of them personally, but you know that this goes on, people who just kind of work for cash under the table, people who are illegally in the country and they're working for cash under the table, people who are making a fairly good income in some cases by, shall we say, less than legal means. Yeah. Do you think there's the chairman's report coming out for much longer that refers to the bank robber Willie Sutton. Oh. Do you think that he filed income tax returns on the money that he robbed from all the different banks that he did? Somehow I don't think so.
Yeah.
But if Willie Sutton buys things before he gets sent to prison, he becomes a taxpayer.
That's right. Yep, that's right. And it happens at all levels.
So the FAIRtax reaches the underground economy where the income tax doesn't.
Yep.
And when you expand the tax base and you raise the same amount of money for the government that the income tax system is currently getting, it just naturally follows that for most people anyway, their individual share of the total tax burden goes down because there are more people contributing to the system. And that is another really beautiful feature of the FAIRtax.
Yep. Yep. So, and there's another one here. It says save taxpayers $430 billion plus annually wasted complying with the 70,000+ pages of tax regulation. Wait a minute. Save taxpayers. If these regulations are on the businesses, it's costing. Well, we're not going to go through that same argument. All right. The compliance costs that the businesses have to deal with are a cost of doing business. They get rolled into the cost of their product, and we end up paying for it, just like the tax itself.
Now, you remember the article from Stephen Moore that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. What did he call, he wasn't referring specifically to the FAIRtax, but what did he say would happen if the income tax were replaced by a consumption tax? It would be, my two favorite words, rocket fuel for the economy. So you talk about raising real wages by a significant amount. The FAIRtax would. Oh, we just realized we don't have our protest sign. Mr.
That's all right. I've got
us one.
I've got a digital one. I'll put up.
You've got a digital one you'll put up. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about defund the IRS
because taxpayers matter. Okay.
Right. All right.
But now that we got off in the weeds there, if you want to raise real wages by a significant amount, at least 10%.
Yeah.
Get rid of the income tax and all the inefficiency and all the evasion and all the problems that come with it. Replace it with a fair, simple consumption tax and watch the economy take off and your famous rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Yeah, and when the economy does take off and businesses need more employees, there becomes competition for employees. And when you have competition for employees, wages go up. So there's several things that are going to push, several factors that are going to push wages up. It's a good situation.
All right, let's move along here before we run out of time. Hey, how do you like getting your tax refund from the IRS every year?
Every year? Well,
no,
maybe.
That's what we get now. Well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
If your withholding exceeds your tax liability, you get a refund once a year.
Yeah, maybe. And you have to wait till the end of the year.
Can I interest you in a system where you get a tax refund guaranteed every month?
Oh, tell me more about it.
Oh, that is a really neat feature of the FAIRtax called the prebate.
Yep.
Again, this is what makes the FAIRtax fair, what makes it progressive, what makes it be sure that you do not just crush those at the lower end of the economic scale. you figure out what the poverty level is for various different household sizes. So for a family of 4, you have your prebate card with you right quick. It's
Yep.
There you do. What's the poverty rate for a family of 4?
All right, $34,480.
That's how much it costs a family of 4 to provide themselves with the basic necessities. If the fair tax were in place and 23% of what you spend is fair tax, you can know to the exact dime how much fair tax you will pay on that level of spending, and that would be?
For the year, it would be $7,930.
So you are collected $7,930 collected from you that you don't owe. So what happens when taxes are collected from you that you don't owe? You get a refund
Every month.
And in the fair tax, they will take that annual amount and break it down into 12 months, and you will get a refund of how much for a family of 4 every month?
$661 for
And no more withholding, no more payroll taxes. You get your entire paycheck and an additional tax refund of $600. Who would not like that?
no more IRS audits. And it's so simple because they make the assumption this is how much it takes for, and it's not just a family of 4. I mean, it's family of 2. I mean, one adult household with several dependents, 2 adult household with several dependents. They got a whole table here, okay?
Yeah.
And so they know in advance, according to the Health and Human Services, like Bob mentioned, how much it takes for each family to maintain basic health. Food, clothing, shelter, basic med care, and so forth for the year, and they're going to say, okay, well, whatever you pay in taxes up to the poverty level, we're going to refund those taxes every month at the beginning of the month, hence the nickname prebate.
I've got a nephew that has 4 kids.
Wow.
I mean, a family size of 6. And he's heard me talk about the fair tax before, and I pulled this little prebate card out, and I showed him a family of 6, 2 adults and 4 children. I said, how would you like to get a monthly tax refund of $833? And his eyes got big as saucers. Really?
Yeah,
yes, really.
Yes, and they will be paying the fair tax on everything they purchase, every new product and every service.
You shop at the thrift store, you don't pay
That's
fair
right.
tax there. If you buy a used car, you don't pay fair tax on that.
That's
if
right.
you move into a pre-existing home, you don't pay fair tax on that. So you can decide how much fair tax you pay. But regardless of whether you shop at the thrift store or someplace else, his family, 2 adults and 4 kids, would get $833 a month. Prebate guaranteed.
Yep. And what are they going to do with that money? They're going to buy stuff with it.
They're going to buy stuff with
and thereby pay more fair tax. So it goes back into the economy. It goes back into the tax cycle.
Which is really good for us geezers because they are now supporting our Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah, that's very important.
That's something that's really near and dear to us old geezers' hearts.
Don't give them the idea we're doing this just for. But it would be nice to secure Social Security and Medicare. Right now, we keep getting the scare messages that it's going to run out of funds. It ran out of funds a long time ago. There's no such thing as a Social Security lockbox. That was gone during the Johnson administration.
It's full of IOUs now.
Yeah, it's full of IOUs. Yeah, jeez. All right, so... and that's we just addressed that. Help save and fund Social Security and Medicare because it's written into the bill that a certain percentage of the proceeds from the fair tax must go to Social Security and Medicare. That means every time somebody purchases a new product or a service in this country, every time, billions of times a day, all right, a portion of the proceeds is going to go to Social Security and Medicare, unlike what we have now.
And I will guarantee you that people who are buying Learjets and luxury yachts are not working for a paycheck. Their income is not subject to the payroll tax.
That's right.
So they are not supporting the system at all. If you want to make we were looking at a bill on Congress.gov last week, make billionaires pay. If you want to make billionaires pay for Social Security and Medicare, implement the fair tax.
Yep, that's where it go. Lower product costs by removing business taxes, compliance costs, and avoidance. And well, we already talked about that. It would lower, all right, getting rid of the compliance cost and the income tax is going to be a big boost to business. It means that their compliance costs are going to drop like 80, 90%, probably closer to 90. Okay, that means they're going to be able to do more business, maybe plan for the future, expand their operation, hire more people. It's good all the way around, okay? Because you're getting rid of the burden of the current income tax and the compliance cost that goes along with it.
When you do that, you grow jobs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and yeah, when the economy expands, and we saw this before the pandemic, the unemployment rate was down to under 4%, right? And that's pretty much full employment because people are always switching. When you got 320 million people, and I don't know, I'm not sure how many of those actually work, 160, I'm not sure of the figure, but there's always some, in between jobs. They go, well, I left this job, I'm going to get another job, I'm moving to another state, something like that. So there's always a little bit of unemployment.
Okay, I love this next point. If you read the chairman's report, Steve Hayes hammers on this a lot, that the current income payroll tax system is such that the Congress critters and he calls them their swamp minions in D.C. are always enriching themselves with our money by selling tax favors to whoever can bid the most for it.
Yeah.
So again, 70-some thousand pages of tax code, most of which are special interest carve-outs, special deductions, special exemptions, special treatment for somebody who could hire the lobbyist to buy that tax favor, and all of that goes away with a fair tax.
Goodness. We're almost out of time.
We are. And tell you what, so these little palm cards that you can get, all of the stuff that we've mentioned here in the past half hour is written right here on this nice little card. So if you want, take one to a restaurant and leave it as a tip for your waitress, leave it to your friends, give it to your family. So these are really good ways to dispense a lot of really good information about the fair tax. So we thought we'd just kind of go through it. We got through most of it. Yeah. Or at least most of the front half.
Yeah, now we got the backside. So maybe another episode.
We'll worry about that later. Right now, we'll just encourage people to go to fairtax.org and join the 1040 Club. We didn't mention that last time. That is a special deal where if you will pledge $10.40 a month to get rid of the Form 1040. Yeah. And again, that's something that AFFT can. You don't have to. You can contribute less than that if you want to. But join AFFT. Let your voice be heard at the national level. Let the Congress critters know that there are millions of us out here who want the fair tax. Because that's the only way we're going to get it is to control enough votes that they'll listen to us.
Yeah. And share these videos, okay? We're in a lot of different places. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Parler, Gab, Instagram. The podcasts are on Spreaker, Apple, and iHeart. I mentioned last week I'm having a big problem with Twitter. I don't know what's going on, so I'm concentrating on Parler. We definitely are on Parler also, which is like a good substitute for... Yes.
And listen on Sunday morning to WTOB, WLSC, and WAME. That's Winston-Salem, Loris, South Carolina, and Statesville, North Carolina, respectively.
Yep. And this is September, so we've got a webinar.
Yep.
Wally's FAIRtax World is coming up at the end, towards the end of this month.
And we will have to talk about that more later because we are flat out of time. I'm Bob Paxton.
And I'm Ron Malero.
The FAIRtax Guys, again, reminding you that the fair tax is the only truly fair tax, and once you understand it,
you'll demand it.
So what would you do for her?
Well, we've got several programs that will help her. We just need to find out how much she makes. But the good news is, the less she does, the more we can help.
Yeah.
If I may, with the fair tax, we wouldn't even tax her income. So the more she makes, the more she has.
But still, a consumption tax could eat up a lot of her income.
Which is why at the beginning of every month, we're actually going to give back all that she pays in taxes on basic necessities.
You're going to give her back her taxes?
Every month, on everything taxed on basic necessities. But we're also going to give it back to you and to every American citizen.
Why?
Well, we believe taxes should be fair.